welcome to Guided Counsel, where my mission is to help one human at a time. And I'm so grateful that you're taking the time to watch this. I have been seeing this individual on TikTok, and I am completely mesmerized by all the stuff that she does. I want you to please help me welcome Garz Chan. She's coming all the way from London. She's in there right now. So I'm so happy that you made the time to come and talk to me.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So Garz, you have a couple of channels on your TikTok and Instagram. You're under Garz Chan, and then you have two websites. One is the Alchemist Arts Healing, and then the other one is your ChineseEnergyHealing.com, which is where you book all your sessions. And your YouTube is Alchemist Arts Healing.
Yes.
Right? Very cool.
So on Instagram and TikTok, you can find me at Garz Chan. If you're interested in private sessions, you can book online at ChineseEnergyHealing.com. That's what I primarily do every day. If you're interested in workshops, you can find them at alchemistsartshealing.com, and my YouTube channel is alchemistsartshealing.com. So yes, correct.
Great. And now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, because what attracted me to you was all the different types of energy healings that you do. Very familiar with the Kundalini activations, very familiar with like quantum touch, all of that stuff. But you had one that caught my eye, which was Theta DNA. So I want to get information. What is Theta DNA energy healing?
DNA Theta healing is probably one of the first energy healing classes that I took, one of the first workshops that I took a long time ago. Not the first workshop that I took, which was probably about 18 years ago, probably the second or third workshop that I took. And it's just a form, a different modality. It's connecting to source rather than guides, rather than your higher self. It's not working with angels or archangels. It's connecting to source on the seventh plane, and then kind of dropping into, it feels like the Akashic Records, but it's not. And then addressing the issues from that plane.
And how does that differ with the other modalities? Or maybe the question should be, is that the main modality that you use with your clients when they come to see you?
No, although I have studied so many different modalities at this point, I kind of pull from a little bit of everything. It depends on the client, but I will say that every day I clear karma. Every day I clear traumas, and sometimes I use Chinese energy healing to do that. Sometimes I use the emotion code to do that. Sometimes I go into the Akashic Records to do it. For me, this is just like a blend of different tools. It's like a fusion at this point. I also remove health obstacles or issues, relationship blockages or weaknesses, career blockages and weaknesses, traumas, fears, phobias, entities, and whatever else the person is having challenges with. It could be they're not finding the right partner, or it could be they're not selling their house. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how does this modality, how do you get that across? I mean, I'm assuming most of your patients are going to be, or not patients, your clients are going to be remote. Is there, I see you do a lot of work with your hands. Do you do it with the hands? Do you incorporate the light language, or how is it that you go about doing all that stuff that you're doing currently?
Well, I use my hands in my private sessions so that if the client is a visual person, they can see me doing something. And sometimes I'll use my voice if my client is more auditory. So it's really for the client. I can actually work very still and in silence. But sometimes the client, depending on if they are visual or auditory, they may not receive it very well. So I've found over the years that if I do some hand movements, and I am actually doing stuff, but I don't need to use my hands because I can imagine myself using my hands. It's really
Mm-hmm.
for something for the client to look at because they're a visual person. And when they see me moving my hands and doing something, it helps them receive the healing.
So there's something you just said that I'm interested in because in almost every practice, in almost every teaching or influencer that's out there, guru, whatever you want to call them, they talk about visualization. And I, for one, um, have really had to learn or to teach myself how to be more visual, having my own understanding of having a visualization, which incorporates um, auditory. It may incorporate some senses. Are you, when you're working visually, when you said visually, are you very strong in the visualization? Can you really, is it like a movie that you play in your mind? And the reason why I ask this is because does that visualization help you become a stronger energy source than not visualizing?
Okay, so when I drop into the person's energy field, I will be shown things. I'll be shown snippets, traumas, lifetimes, dimensions. I will be shown words, and I will also hear things. I will hear things that are happening or hear words. And then I will also feel it in my own body. And sometimes I just know. Very rarely I'll taste something or smell something. But that has developed over time. And the thing that helped me develop all my clairs is studying psychic mediumship. When I first started psychic mediumship, I was very clairsentient. I've always felt things. I've always been able to feel spirit or activity or energy or entities or whatever. But I didn't want to see anything and I didn't want to hear anything. So I kind of like blocked that out. But as I developed as a psychic medium, all of my clairs started just pinging. So then I was able to hear and I was able to see and feel and know and taste and smell. So now when I work on clients, even though I'm not giving a psychic mediumship reading, I'm doing energy healing or clearing past life traumas or karmas or whatever, I am able to use all my clairs in the session. But you don't have to be visual to become an energy healer. You don't have to feel to become an energy healer. I've trained with so many different types of people who couldn't see anything, but it still works. They couldn't feel it, but it still works.
Okay. So, and that's good to know. It seems like when I work with energy healers, they all have that visualization as their strength. And I'm like, I wonder if you really have to have that third eye visual to be able to do that or to enhance it. Like I said, I'm more auditory. I like to, and I feel, excuse me, and I feel it. So that's how I get in touch, and that's how I imagine it, I guess. So let's talk about your sessions at this point. So you've mentioned karma, trauma, blockages. I'm assuming you get pretty much a combination of all of that in one day or in a week where we're dealing with all of that. Um, let's talk about first when it comes to your private clients, and then we'll talk about bigger scale collective. So for the clients that you're seeing, what are the typical trends that you see that you're being asked of for help?
Typically, the people who come to see me tend to be empathic. They tend to be on the sensitive side. And mostly they have gone through quite a fair amount of trauma and abuse. Yeah. So, which can lead to obviously a lot of mental issues, emotional issues, physical issues, health issues, and just blockages in their life. But it really, I kind of like have a bit of everything, you know. It's like some some people come see me because they're not earning enough money and they want to earn more money. Or some people see me because they want to start their own business and they don't have the courage or they don't have the confidence. Some people see me because they're not meeting their life partner. Some people see me because they're not having children and there's like a physically there's nothing wrong with them. Some people see me because of different health issues that are mysterious and the doctors don't have any answers for them. Some people see me because they're still working through traumas with their parents, a mother, a father. Some people see me because they're going through a breakup or a divorce or separation. Some people see me because they feel like they can't really move forward in their lives because they feel like they're too broken or too damaged. And then some people just see me because, you know, they want to like a little sort of spring clean, a little dusting off energetically. So yeah, all kinds of different reasons really. Yeah, I get them all.
So when people come in for the assistance, and I'm just wondering, so when you're doing this work, and I'm sure there's some people that just have that the sense where they completely surrender to you, and that's when they have like a huge breakthrough at that time. And there's going to be those, you're going to have probably a small percentage of those and the higher percentage of people that continue to come back. Um, During this process of the healing sessions, um, you're helping them, but I would assume that they would get homework as well to continue on their own journey so they can help themselves. Is that a good assumption to make?
Sometimes there is some homework if they are interested in life coaching, but some of them are very some people don't need the life coaching and some people won't do the homework. So it just depends. I have to kind of like gauge, you know, how much does this person want the results and what are they willing to do to get the results, you know? Like you could it's almost
Yeah.
like saying, okay, we have a room for the people at the gym. They all want a six pack, but who's willing to do what it takes to get the six pack? And those are the people that I will
Hmm.
give homework to. But those who are like, I just want to be able to get by, I won't give them homework.
No, that makes sense. And I think that comes up uh, with like a kind of like a moral internal conflict, because you want to help these people, but at some point you got to put yourself, in a state of maybe your own boundaries, or have your own requirements where, I'll give as much help as they're looking for or willing to put in the work. Is, is that like in
Yes,
alignment?
because some people you can overload them, you know, with too much
Hmm.
information. And for some people, especially their very first session, the things that I talk about, the things that are coming up, the things that I'm clearing, it can be quite overwhelming for the person to hear about all these different traumas that have happened in all these different lifetimes and what they've experienced, what their soul has experienced, and what they've done to others and what others have done to them. And it's just like, it's like really overwhelming. So if I feel like that was a lot for them to process, and I always tell my clients, after the first session, you will continue to release, process, and integrate for another week or so. If I feel like they are overwhelmed or overloaded or very stimulated from all the information that I shared, then I tend not to give them homework because I feel like they already have a lot to process. Some people process very quickly. Some people process very slowly. And some people are like, okay, bring it, give me more. And some people are like, woof, oh my gosh, that was a lot, you know? So you have to gauge how much to give to who.
Man, that sounds like a plant medicine journey.
Yeah. Some people have said to me, it's like doing ayahuasca without drinking the medicine.
Yeah, I'm like, you need to come with a disclaimer. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you ever have, and this is when, so I use it to the QHTT, the past life regression, and some of my favorite experiences with clients was when it was out of the karmic and the trauma and the, lifetime after lifetime, it's the same lesson over and over. It was when we went to different dimensions and different galaxies, and I got to explore with them where they're at, whether it's Alpha Centauri and what they look like. They're explaining to me exactly what they look like as an entity or an alien. Do you have those moments? Because those are really cool.
Yeah, so I dip in and out the Akashic Records, and I also quantum jump. So, I'm kind of like jumping timelines, and sometimes I have to go and retrieve, certain aspects of their soul or, body parts from a different dimension. Or sometimes it's like, oh, they're stuck in between a dimension on a different plane. And so I have to go and retrieve things for them. So yeah, it can be a bit of a trip for me sometimes.
That is so cool. Explain, if you can, what the quantum leaping looks like for you.
Quantum leaping, parallel jumping is kind of like the same as like past life reading, right? So I can look at you, I don't have to look at you, but I can just drop into energy field and ask, show me your other lifetimes. In the 3D, they call it a past life. In the 3D, they say a past life, a present life, a future life. But in the 5D, it's all simultaneous. There's no past, present, or future. So if I'm dropping into energy field, I can say, show me traumas that you've experienced in other lifetimes. So I start seeing snippets and images and words and scenarios and memories, right? And they just start jumping up at me. And then my job is to clear the negative accumulative effects of those from you. And they could be trapped in your soul, they can be trapped in your organs, they can be trapped in your chakras, they can be trapped in your subtle bodies. And then when I'm parallel jumping, it's the same thing, but for me, it's the same thing as clearing things from other lifetimes, because that is what you're doing. Parallel jumping, you're just quantum jumping parallel universes to see what is affecting you. So say, for example, if you're struggling with money, right, not having enough money or not being able to save, I can kind of like quantum jump into 10 different parallel universes to see why is she struggling with money. Okay, in this quantum universe she is homeless, and in that one she's stealing from someone, and that one she's trapped in a marriage where the husband is controlling her for money, and then this one someone took her inheritance, and there could be all these different reasons. And then my job again is to come back and then clear the negative effects of those from you, right? So it's kind of like the same thing, but just a different label. Yeah.
So when you do that, when you're clearing, because in essence, we have all these lifetimes because we are here to expand consciousness so we can experience every potentiality. So if we're an old soul per se, and my understanding of it, we've been uh, mean people, we've been good people, we've been rich people, we've been poor people. I mean, we've been like everything, male, female, animal, whatever you are, right? So if we're in this lifetime now, you're experiencing and you're going through this process where you're pulling out or you're looking through all these past lives and you're seeing, let's just say, the fear of lack of money or not being able to have that abundance you're looking for, if you're clearing it from that person in this lifetime, using the past and knowing that time is not linear, it exists, past, present, future is all one. Are you, I feel like a Simpsons episode, are you actually taking those experiences away from those past
You
lives?
can't you can't remove the experience. You can't remove the memory. You can't change the experience, the trauma. You can't remove it. But what I can do is clear the negative accumulative effects of that from you. So for example, if I'm working on someone and they worry obsessively, right? I can't clear it so that you never worry, because that's part of the human experience. It's one of the emotions, one of the many emotions that we get to experience, right? But I can see, oh, you've been absorbing your mother's worry since you were 12 years old and now you're 42. Let's reduce the effects of that. Oh, there is worry from 5 other lifetimes and it's stuck in your kidneys. Let's reduce the effects of that. You're holding on to worry from when you were in the womb because your mother was frantically worried, right? Let's reduce the effects of that. So you can reduce the effects of something that has been accumulating, or maybe you've had other lifetimes of having a mental breakdown, nervous breakdown, emotional breakdown. So we can reduce the negative effects of that from you, but it won't remove the event or the memory from you. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, and that was exactly what I asked, whether you wipe it clean or it's just energetic transmutation of that existing worry or whatever to be like, and you said it, less worry, so it's easier for them to process.
Yeah.
So we lessen the worry. They're fine and dandy. They have a week of integration of processing and integration from the session that you had. Does that worry come back? I would imagine it does, unless they're the one of the ones that are really serious and continue with the process of the homework or that you give them.
Yeah, you won't be able to go through a life without worrying. Just like you won't be able to go through a life without any fears, right? That's not possible. And but for some people, the worrying can be reduced. They may build a stronger tolerance for it. They may feel more detached about it. They may be able to have an awareness of it. They may be able to observe it, right? The triggers can greatly reduce, you know? It depends on
Can
their
you
lifestyle as well, though. It depends on their lifestyle and the way they think.
can you do a form of hypnosis on them?
Mm, I don't do hypnotherapy, uh, but the work can be quite hypnotic. I find that there are people who are
Mm-hmm.
very auditory, when they hear all the things that I'm clearing and reducing and neutralizing and dissolving, it gives them clarity, and it's like quite paradigm shifting for them. And for some people, when they hear all the information, somehow it can be quite hypnotic or meditative for them. But it's not a hypnotherapy session.
Mm-hmm. The reason why I asked that is because as I listen to your voice, it's super calming. And I can see that if I were to be in a session with you, I'd probably knock out because it's super calming, and I'm just going to trust you to do your magic, to do whatever needs to be done. So the thought came into my mind. I'm like, I wonder if without realizing you're going into putting the person in sort of hypnosis where, for a person that's trying to lose weight, they have those like help hypnosis CDs or, MP3s or, oh my gosh, I'm aging myself. I'm like saying CDs and MP3s, yeah, YouTube videos or whatever, to get them into the hypnotic state. And so I just wonder if you were like aware of you yourself maybe putting them into under hypnosis. But I think you answered that. I think just in the process, the person who's receiving the session will more than likely put themselves in hypnosis based on the actions that you're doing.
When I'm in session,
Okay.
I actually speak quite fast. So yeah, sometimes I speak like rapid fire. So I don't create an environment where the person feels like they're in a hypnosis. I don't speak like I'm doing a guided meditation. I have guided meditation. I have those for my students in my workshops. But when I'm in a session, I can speak quite fast because there's so much information coming up that all wants my attention. So I have to speak very fast to kind of like, close all the tabs, so to speak.
If you're getting so much information, are you filtering out which information you give the person
Yeah.
at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if unless a client says, hey, I have entities, or I think I have entities, I'm not going to say, hey, you have a massive entity, because that's just going to unlock a fear for them, and I'm not going to instill any fear in them. If a client doesn't know or doesn't remember if they've been sexually abused, I'm not going to say, hey, when you were 3 years old, you were sexually abused. I'm not going to do that. So there are things that I see that are very graphic. I won't share that with a client because they don't need those graphic details, especially if I feel like it's going to disturb the person.
That makes sense. No, that's really good that you have that discernment because not everybody's ready for all the truth at that point.
Yeah.
Let's move forward to Kundalini energy. And the reason why I'm very interested in that is because I've read and I've heard of people having this like instant Kundalini, like things of that nature where like all the chakras just burst and they see the 1,000 lotus petals and all that stuff. But then I also at the same time read that if you push the Kundalini too soon, too fast, that you'll experience all those karmic lifetimes, boom, at once. And that process of experiencing all those lifetimes, whether good, bad, or indifferent, can put a person potentially into a state of psychosis because they don't know that's happening. Oh, good. So am I right in that process of Kundalini forcing it?
Yes, for some people.
Okay.
But a Kundalini awakening is not the same as a Kundalini activation.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Can you define?
What you're talking about is the Kundalini awakening, right? That's when the Kundalini uncoils and shoots through the chakras and channels and pierces through, and you experience a lightning and bliss. And if it happens too early, you can experience spiritual psychosis, right? Or instability, that kind of stuff. And when I practiced Kundalini yoga, gosh, 25 years ago, that was one of the goals, to awaken the Kundalini through Kundalini yoga. However, fast forward to now, there's a modality called Kundalini activation. It's not really the same as an awakening. It's a very, very watered down, mild version of an awakening. It's just like, I would say a Kundalini awakening is like a volcano erupting for some people, whereas an activation is like a little shower, just like a little sprinkle,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And how would one recognize that mildness of the Kundalini activation?
It's very subtle. Some people have a very physical reaction, so you might start trembling and shaking and having involuntary movements. And some people don't have a very physical reaction to it. Some people have a very mental reaction where they start journeying through different lifetimes and different planes and realities and realms and dimensions, and it's very mental. And some people have a very emotional reaction where they might start crying, or they might start laughing hysterically, or they may even have in some cases, like an orgasm. And some people fall asleep because they have to sleep to shut off the conscious mind in order for the subconscious to receive the transmission. Yeah, so everyone responds differently to the activation. And for me, the first time I did the Kundalini activation, I didn't feel anything. But I felt something second, third, and then after that I started feeling it. And for me, I think it started for me like it's very mental. I traveled in different dimensions and saw lifetimes, and then it became more physical. And it's not classed as a healing modality, but it does purify. So it can gradually purify the body or even the mind to motivate you or inspire you to stop an unhealthy habit. Like, it can help you stop smoking, you know? Yeah.
So what is the purpose of a Kundalini awakening?
What,
Is it just the chakras aligning and the serpent's going all around and comes back down? Or is it the balancing of, because it's the Kundalini, when it goes around the serpent, is really representing the masculine and the feminine energy. So are we like just calibrating and becoming one with those two energies?
yes, but ultimately it's connecting to the god or the goddess within you and living from a place of enlightenment and bliss.
Okay.
It,
Do you have many people that come in that for the Kundalini activation?
I did, and then I stopped the Kundalini activation because for me, I felt like It is effective remotely. It's more effective in person, but I
Yeah.
stopped seeing people in person and I only see people remotely. And some people need to do Kundalini activation in person to feel the full effects of it. Some people don't feel the effects of it remotely. And so I, because I'm not seeing people in person, I don't offer it, you know? Yeah.
Makes sense. No, I'm in agreement. There's some things that I feel need to be done on a
Mm,
physical plane and not
mm,
remotely. I know energy travels, but I'm a person that likes to touch
mhm,
people if they allow me to. And I like that connection. For me, it becomes a very intimate process when I get to touch
mhm.
people. Um, I don't know. That's just me. Everyone's different. So, okay. So let's move forward. So now we're working on clients individually, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the collective. Um, and the energies are quite frankly something that we haven't ever experienced because we're going through a new cycle of the earth. We're going through a new cycle of history. And, I'm sure if you're watching this, that means that you're also kind of in the know about the Schumann resonance, the solar flares, and everything that's going on. For the collective, in the energy scope, do you think, and let me see how I can pose this question, because the people that come to you are because they're either curious or they're really seeking the assistance or want the extra boost. The collective, I feel, as a whole, is still very much in the dark about this side of the world, of this side of the spirituality, of all the things that are coming out, all the activations coming into our God-given abilities and talking about and exposing it to other people. Is a collective in a whole ready for something like this, for these energy activations and healings that someone like you offers?
There's a lot of people who live in this world that you and I live in. And there's a lot of people who
Mhm.
dabble in it. And I will say that I have seen a lot more people in my son's generation who talk about this stuff very casually. There are lots of people I see in my son's generation. He's Gen Z. He's 18. I see so many people in his generation they just naturally communicate with spirits. They naturally astral project. They don't need to do a class on it. They naturally jump timelines. They're naturally in tune with the earth's energy. They're naturally in tune with nature. It's like it's just inbuilt in them, you know? That's what I see. I will say that mainstream people who maybe are very disconnected from this world, I'd say probably in the next 7 years, this will become more common and the new norm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I hope so. I'm with you. My daughter is 10 years old and she tells me things from the past and she just kind of blurts it out. And I'm like, did you hear what you said then? She'll be like, what? What did I just say? And is really much into energy healing. And I'm teaching her that stuff. And I think the new children are definitely more in tune, and they will become more in tune. And I've been taken to the mothership where they show the hybrid children who are becoming when they're ready to be all
Mhm.
knowing. And it's not going to happen a full population. It's going to be in bits and pieces, right? So 7 years is actually, I was thinking longer, but why not 7 years? If we're supposed to make contact with aliens, according to Bashar, in 2027, why not 7 years?
Mhm.
That's amazing. And astral projecting, oh gosh, I love astral projecting. Have you had experience in that?
Yeah, I teach it in my workshops.
Oh, you do? I didn't see that
Yeah,
option.
yeah. I teach astral thing, yeah, in my workshops.
Very cool. Okay, so now let's talk about what you do with children. Do you do these services on children?
I have worked on my clients' children, but I will say to them, please ask them first. And if they aren't sure and they're hesitant and they're not really into it and they're reluctant, please don't force them to do it, because if you're not open to it, you're just going to block the energy. It'll be a waste of time and money for you. If you mention it to your child and they're like, ooh, what's that? Or they perk up and they are interested and they are open, then by all means, let's you book the session for your child. And then, of course, there are babies and toddlers who don't, you can't explain to them what energy healing is. And I've worked on children who, obviously don't speak, they're not old enough to speak, but I will often ask their higher self, is it okay for me to work on you? And it requires for me to work on the parent as well, because the babies and toddler children, you know, yes, they have their own set of issues, but they're also absorbing their parents' issues, right? So when I work on children, I tend to have to clear stuff from their parents as well. Yeah. And babies are extremely receptive to energy healing. Toddlers are extremely receptive to energy healing. I mean, my son used to wake up whenever I worked on him energetically, and I didn't even have to touch him. He just knew when he was a child. If he was sleeping, I'd work on him and he would just wake up every time.
Do you think that children now, or maybe even with your son, are they coming with predisposed karma, or is that becoming, are we dwindling down? Are we the last generation, the Gen Xers, that carry those karmic, generational karmas lifetime after lifetime?
I don't think we're the last generation, but we do have some hefty karma. I mean, they say that the rainbow children have no karma. They say that some of the crystal babies have no karma, that they're just here to light up the world, with love and radiance and all that kind of stuff. But I've worked on children and I don't 100% believe that no one has karma to resolve. I just don't believe that based on my experience working with children.
Or do you think the karma that they're supposed to be working on is the new karma as they're born, what they're experiencing in the present?
Every generation has, you have your own individual karma. You have the karma that's been passed down to you from your ancestors. You have the karma of your generation, right? So the collective conscious, subconscious, unconscious is affecting you. You have the karma of the country that you're in, the karma of the culture that you belong to. I mean, there are so many different karmas at play, you know?
That's true. Yeah, but you're right. We carry a very hefty karma. It's a heavy load for sure. Okay, cool. Now we're going to talk about really cool stuff. So on your TikToks, on your TikToks, I see you do a lot of telekinesis. I dig that stuff. I've always wanted to levitate when I was younger. I've always wanted to fly, and I've always believed in the power of movement. Maybe it was because of all the shows I used to watch growing up, like Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers and all that stuff. Um, how did you get into telekinesis? Was it just purely out of interest, or did you fall into it? How did you get into that aspect of it?
Well, I've always, I grew up watching kung fu movies where people flew through the air and healed each other by just poking each other or freezing each other. And um, so I've always wanted to. I remember one time when I was young, I was trying to jump off the sofa. And I was thinking, why am I not flying? Like, I don't understand why I'm not flying. And this voice said, you'll discover your magical gifts when you're older. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll learn how to fly when I'm older. So fast forward, I'm just really drawn to things that are metaphysical or esoteric or, beyond what we can physically see, beyond what we can physically hear, beyond what the mind can comprehend. I'm just interested in all of those subjects, and that's why I've learned all these different modalities. These things really interest me, and I've always wanted to learn telekinesis, but no one was really teaching, or I couldn't find the teacher, or maybe I was just busy doing all the other modalities. And then at some point I was like, right, I'm going to focus on this, it's time. And I think I learned a few years ago, but then my mum got sick, and then she went through a process of transitioning out of the earth plane, and so I kind of like stopped, and then I literally just started again 3 or 4 months ago,
Hmm.
3 months
Wow,
ago.
that's quick.
Yeah, so I've just recently, in the past few months, I'm a complete beginner with aerokinesis and telekinesis, but I've been just practicing every day about 20 minutes. Well, I started off like 20 to 40 minutes, and now I just practice like maybe 10, 20 minutes every day. Yeah, I've just been doing it for a few months, and some people are like, oh my gosh, you got really quick results, and they find that quite discouraging for them. But I remind them, but I've been practicing energy healing for 17 years, So for me, I see that as an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have
No, that
but then I have some people who reached out to me, a few people reached out to me saying, oh my gosh, I just tried to do this for the first time, and the light bulb cracked and smashed and exploded, or the glass vase or vase cracked and exploded, like what the fuck, so there are people out there who have incredible powers that they have not tapped into, and some are afraid. They're afraid of how powerful they can be.
oh my God, I want to bust light bulbs. I was totally the Kung Fu theater, all the Jackie Chans, everything. I'm with you. I thought I can fly. Even when Crouching Tiger came out, I'm like, oh my God, that's my dream.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, no, I am so gonna, and you hit it right on the point, because I think for me, I mean, I don't even know how I'm looking at all your credentials here, and I'm like, how did you even have time? Like, I'm tired just reading everything you got into, but it's all really just focusing. We're just focusing. As we were talking earlier, I was telling you about my kids and telekinesis. I'm like, I mean, we have to prioritize it at some point during the day, at least 10 minutes to something. And this goes with anything. If you're really interested in it, you just really have to focus. And we all lack that focus. Life gets lifey.
I I don't think we lack focus. I just think we have priorities, you know? Some people
Mm-hmm.
some
Oh,
people will get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go and do an hour or two at the gym before they even start a whole day of work, you know? Some people will fast for 20 hours a day. Some people will run 5 miles every day. It's we all have different priorities. Some people will say to me, oh, I'm trying to move the thing and it won't move. And it's like, well, how many times have you tried? 2 times? It's like, dude, that's like that's like me saying, I'm going to do 100 crunches. Why don't I have a six-pack? No, you got to practice every day. And I would say practice 20 to 40 minutes every single day for 3 months before you say you can't do something. And if you don't want to practice for 3 months, then you don't really want it that badly, you know?
And you make a good point, because I did say lack of focus because we can sit there and focus on the TikTok and death scroll for hours, and that's a focus right there, right?
All night. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. It's not the lack of focus because we can all focus on something. It's the lack of priority. I'm with you 100%. So like they say, practice makes perfect, and maybe not perfect, but it gets you to at least that starting point. But oh my gosh, that's amazing. Um, is there anything we missed that you do, or did we cover everything?
Um, well, I will say that, if you're interested in having a private session, you can book online at ChineseEnergyHealing.com. If you're interested in the workshops, you can go to alchemistartshealing.com. And if you can't afford any of that, I do have children's books. I have 3 children's books. One is called The Little Healer. Oh, you have the kindest girl. Oh,
I got it. It's so
yeah.
cute.
So I do have a book called The Little Healer. So, it is for children, but adults can read that too and practice the energy healing. The telekinesis is free. The tutorials are free on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. Because I'm a beginner, I don't feel right in charging anyone the tutorials. And if you can't, afford the energy healing, I do record sometimes one-off sessions specifically to share on social media, and you can watch it on YouTube and instruct your body to receive the healing for yourself. I mean, it won't be catered specifically for you, but you can still instruct your body to receive the healing for yourself. And for those of you who can suspend the belief or the program that time and space exists, then you'll be able to receive that and piggyback off of the healing session. Then I also have light language transmissions that I share on social media. And if that resonates with you, you can also instruct your body to receive that too. And I explain what the light language is in the captions as well. So there's all kinds of stuff that, that I offer.
I totally forgot about light language, even though I wrote it down. Because I love light language, but I'm too embarrassed to share. I don't feel too confident yet in the light language. Like it comes out, but then I'm too embarrassed to share. And I'm glad that you're doing it. And obviously there's other people that do it. Like Jamie Price is a big person that is always sharing the light language. I don't know if she's like the pioneer of light language. I'm not quite sure, but thank you for sharing, because when I get very close to posting something with light language, I get very self-conscious and I just shy down. I say, no, not today. Maybe next time.
Yes, I understand the self-conscious part, but I just go, well, fuck it, I mean, I cringe every time I post a video, every time I make a video, but I'm just like, it's not about me. It's about, possibly helping someone physically, mentally, emotionally, or helping someone feel less alone, right? I feel like if you just really show who you are, you're going to attract your people, and your people will find you, and they want to find you. When I was growing up, none of this stuff was available, and I desperately wanted people to be visible. I couldn't find any teachers when I was growing up. I couldn't find any teachers when I was a teenager who taught psychic mediumship or astral projecting or telekinesis or energy healing. I couldn't find these people. So now there's lots of people being more visible, and I kept getting the message at the end of last year, you need to be more comfortable with being more visible. So even though I cringe, I force myself to do it. And this is my stretch right now.
I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. I am forcing myself to do things because I feel the same thing as you. And then I'm just like, baby steps,
Yeah.
just baby steps. Because even getting people on the podcast is kind of hard because I send emails to a lot of people. And of course, what's the percentage? If you want to look at percentages, like out of X amount of people, you get one or two answers, right? So I just like keep going so I don't get discouraged. And I'm like, it's okay. Everything will pan out the way it's supposed to be. And just keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up. And it's okay if I take a break because we're human. We're having human experience. So it's okay to take breaks
Yeah.
here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Do you find yourself taking a lot of breaks?
do I take a lot of breaks? I feel, well, every day I spend probably about 4 or 5 hours alone. So I spend a lot of time in solitude, in my own energy, and in a somewhat meditative state.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, that depends on my cycle. Yeah, work-wise, I will take the summer off, and hang out with my son and we'll go somewhere. Winter break, of course, I like to take off and hang out with family, and also my birthday. So maybe 3 times a year I'll book some time out and not work during those times. And now and then I'll book some time off to do a workshop as well. So I'll book like 2 weeks off,
Mm-hmm.
1 week to do the workshop and 1 week to recuperate because, teaching a workshop, a 7-day workshop is it takes a lot of energy.
I can imagine, especially with all you do. The ayahuasca without the ayahuasca trip.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy, especially if you're
Yeah.
if you're if you're if you're a private person like I am and you're more introverted like I am. Well, I'm an ambivert, so I can be introverted or extroverted depending on who I'm with, but I tend to lean more, to be introverted. Yeah, so and I prefer to, I don't like too much energy, too many people, too much energy. So having to manage
Mm-hmm.
different energies every day or week, and then teaching, and then putting out fires, and then working on people as stuff comes up, and then sometimes it's like, okay, I need to perform an exorcism on this person, and all kinds of stuff. 7 days of that, it's like, wow. Okay. Yeah.
The image that just came into my mind of an exorcism. Full-blown Catholic priest with the cross throwing holy water.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Okay. Well, thank you so much. This has been a really cool podcast. Here's the book. And actually, I want to say it looks at honorary mentions, American Writing Awards finalist for 2022 and the Brew Book Excellence Award. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
So, and thank you so much because other than the Esther Hicks Solomon or Sarah
Hmm.
books, I never really found anything for my
Oh,
kids. Now they're old enough where we can read the Sarah
mm.
books, but this was so cute anyway. And it gives a message across in a very nice way and very fun way for my kids who are a little bit older now. But thank you because I think kids are often overlooked and they should be prioritized because they're the ones that are the most open.
Yeah, and
So
it's so important to, raise children and teach them how to love themselves, that would solve so many problems in the world. So many. So many.
I am with you. I'm in full agreement. And I want to help people help parent or grandparent their children the best I can. But they have to know themselves first. What is it that know thyself before you can give back to others? But thank you so much. Your information is in the description below with the links, and all of that is available. Please hit her up. She's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I watch most of her, if not all of, I binge watched all of your TikTok stuff. And then I started learning some of your life lessons on your YouTube channel. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for saying yes to the podcast. It makes me feel really good. And thank you for enlightening me on your telekinesis and your Kung Fu movies, because I was that Kung Fu girl. And I took Kung Fu for years.
Oh,
so I'm a black belt.
really?
Yeah, that's how much I loved it. I was like, I'm going to fly.
You are?
As an adult.
Yeah, you are that girl. Okay, so you get to levitate. You get to levitate at some point.
That's on my list. Not anytime soon. I think I really have to wait for the kids to get older so I can have full focus. Yeah. But levitation, I know that Helen Hadswell, who was Jose Silva's assistant and student, in her 70s, she was able to levitate. So it's possible. I mean, I know it's possible. We all know about that monk who was able, was it the Buddhist or the Indian guru who could levitate? I forgot his name. But it's doable. People do it. They're just not seen. And no one's there with a camcorder watching them.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much, Garz. I wish you well on your endeavors. Thank you again. And we will be in talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.